Hello, folks. Welcome to a new session of Around with Rockstar. Happy to be here once again, like every Friday, with all of you. I hope everything is having a great day so far. I am Maria Hernandez, Developer Relation Lead at RAK Wireless, and I will be moderating this session next to Jose Marcelino today, as every
Hey,
Friday.
everyone. Yep, as every Friday.
Are you excited about today's session? What are your
Oh
thoughts?
yeah. It's from my home country, so yeah, definitely excited about this, and it's a big deployment. Really, really interesting topic today.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things going around and many cool plans for the future as well. For those who are joining, I am seeing like new names on the chat. A warm welcome for all of those who are joining for the first time. We're always excited to have new community members joining the session. Just before I start, for those who are joining for the first time, this is a community space where we chat with passionate community members from the RAK Wireless community, as we say to them, RAKStars. And we talk about their experiences, their cool projects, the things they are working on, and many other cool things. And as Jose mentioned, in today's session, we are going to be chatting with two of the Sharespot Portugal initiators, which is a company with a mission to expand an IoT network based on helium across Portugal. May and Herculano welcome to the stage.
Hi.
Hey guys.
Pleasure to be here.
No, thanks to accepting our invitation. We are glad to have you both here to discuss a little bit more about your experience during these past few months deploying the huge network in your region. And yeah, just before I start, I would like to highlight that all of those who are connected, if you have any question, feel free to leave them on the comment section, and we'll be happy to address all the questions you may have here during the live session. Or if you have any question later, feel free to leave in the comment, and we can address them as well. So just to start with the session, both of you have like a very interesting background and maybe not directly related to the Internet of Things, but in some way connects you and also led you to undertake with Sharespot alongside with your other colleagues. So to start, can you just talk a little bit more about you, who you are, more about your background and education? We can start with Herculano first, and then we go with me.
So I'm Herculano Costa. I'm 25 years old, and I'm a lieutenant in the Portuguese Army. I joined the military academy in 2013 and finished my studies in 2019, my master's degree in artillery. I've always loved technology, and before I entered the military academy, I actually was studying computer engineering. But then I left the computer engineering, but I want to keep later on when I have some more time. It was to join the army, but that's me basically. I know Mage from the school, high school, and he was actually the one that introduced me to Helium project, and that's why I'm here today, and we started this project together.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, we've known each other for quite some time already. So I'm Maya. I'm 26 years old. I was born in Holland and raised in Portugal. I have a master's degree in earth sciences, so geology, earth materials, etc. And I've always been very interested into technology. And actually, while living in Portugal, I lived completely off the grid, meaning that we had to build our own power supply, our own solar system, our own hydropower system, etc. So I've always had a lot of interest growing up in energy, and also how do you talk to, for example, a solar system without having to go there, etc. So it was a nice stepping stone to then going to LoRa and IoT as well.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
How did you learn to do that, the solar stuff? How did you learn by yourself?
Yeah, internet. I mean, the internet is a marvelous thing. Yeah, it's a marvelous thing, and they call it YouTube-versity, right? So
Very
it
nice.
was all just learning and
Nice.
stuff like that, and then just trying it out and see if it works, and just keep doing it.
Amazing, amazing. And how did you find out about helium? Like, what got your interest in the world of Internet of Things?
So that's an interesting topic. So I've been in blockchain for quite some time already. It's in 2011, more or less. And I've been always, the part about blockchain, which I've been mostly fascinating about, is this sharing economy idea, right? So that you're able to use to combine a lot of people and create new value. So I've been involved in the data storage space as well, the decentralized data storage space. There's a lot more to it than that, and especially going back what I was saying previously as well, for example, monitoring energy systems, and helium is a perfect fit for it. And I quickly saw that with the blockchain incentive mechanism there, helium had I could quickly see that helium had the potential to become a giant global network. So I saw about helium a few years ago as well, but only really started to get involved last year. But it was one of the best decisions I've ever made, because it's truly fascinating what is happening here with helium and just how many people it can touch, right? So a lot of times when we talk about technology, we talk about, okay, it has to benefit people. But you can see that with the coverage we already have, and we're going to have at the end of this year, the amount of people that can benefit from helium is absolutely staggering. So that's why I'm here as well.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that. And I think like that was like the gap that you've noticed, like as individual to create a fun Sharespot as well. Like you want to connect people and you want to solve real problems based on this technology that allows people, company in Portugal to deploy this solution. And
Exactly.
there was something like similar before on Portugal, or this is like the first time
Well,
doing this kind of thing?
we have a few things, network gateways in Portugal, but it's very scattered. So you have no coherent national network, which makes deploying sensors difficult, right? Because you also have to do all of the communication infrastructure as well. So Portugal has some gateways, but also a lot of companies implement gateways for themselves. So it's not some other company that wants to also buy, for example, sensors. They cannot use those gateways. So it's all very closed off in silos. And with helium, right, it's an open network. So once the infrastructure is there, everyone can use it, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, so that's really key, because Portugal had a great coverage by Sigfox. This was another network, extensive coverage, but people were always saying, "Oh, we can't get connectivity, we can't buy it because the supplier didn't reply." It was a big mess. So the open aspect is really important to create solutions.
Yeah,
And yeah, definitely. And can you share like a little bit more about this story, like behind Sharespot, like how it started? How did you decide to start like this journey together? How did you reach to your colleagues, high school colleagues, and also how were like those first months working in this idea?
Yeah, sure. So it started very small. It started by actually just me wanting to buy one gateway to put it at my parents in Portugal. They have a big farm, in order to basically track the farm, track the animals, track for fire, for forest fires, etc. So, but then I kind of realized, okay, that's nice, but there are a lot of people who have these type of needs. And then then I started asking around to my friends and Herculano as well. So, okay, what do you think? Would there be any use cases? any interest, because personally I wasn't involved in IoT and LoRa for a long time, so I had to learn as I went along. And basically I quickly came to realize that there is definitely a lot of interest in deploying IoT type solutions. So then one thing led to another. I bought about 40 gateways after that. But then also I realized that, this is deploying the infrastructure for IoT is no simple task. You don't do it alone. I mean, you can, but if you want to deploy it on a national level, it takes a lot of effort. So then I was kind of looking around. Okay, who could help, and who best than high school friends who I've known for a long time, who are also interested in this technology. So we just sent messages to each other, and eventually we're now a team of seven high school friends, and we're all going crazy installing these stuff and getting use case. So that's how it went.
Nice. But you mentioned that you bought these 4 gateways, right?
Yeah, one first, just one.
And then all together you bought the other ones. And like right now, like other people can just, like, let's say there is someone interested in joining the Sharespot network in some way, community, we can say it. They can just go to your website, request a gateway, and you can handle all their transaction for them, or how that works.
Yeah, sure. So actually we've had a lot of people who have been so interested actually that we've brought them on board to actually be part of the team full time. So one example, one of our friends, he has a big farm and has contact with a lot of cooperatives from farmers. So he was so interested in deploying this that we actually said, okay, come on board and let's do this together. So he's now part of the team. So anyone that is interested in just helping along and building this network in Portugal can just reach out at any time and work with us to deploy this network. But for people who just want the gateway and get some revenue from it, we do that as well, and we basically manage everything. So we do the planning, we do the installation, we do the monitoring, we have the payment systems. So we do that as well. So not everyone, of course, is interested in really contributing more time.
Yeah, super. And you mentioned you have a previous experience with this crypto world, and also with technology, with managing the energy side. But if any of you in the team have previous experience working with LoRa and LoRaWAN technologies before deploying this network, and if not, how did you find this learning curve for this technology?
So the closest thing that I did, this was almost in 2015, was trying to communicate. I don't know exactly which protocol it was, and it was Zigbee. I'm not exactly sure which one it was, but I think 400 megahertz, and it was to talk to the hydroelectric turbine to check how many rotations it has. Because sometimes if there's no load on the turbine, it will go in overspin and it can damage. So we were actually trying to remotely monitor it, but we couldn't find any very easy to use solutions for it. So I just ended up moving along. But that's as close as I got with these type of communication protocols.
I would like to add something about the learning curve. What I think that is amazing about this type of technology is that everything is open source. So we can just go digging in Google, we can search, we can learn. And I think in 4 months ago, I didn't know anything about LoRa. Today, I understand how the system works, how the sensors work, how can we connect the sensors to the gateways, and what can we retrieve from them. So we can actually get use cases for them because we know how the system works and how we can manage to reach some objective thanks to the open source that LoRaWAN is. Basically that.
Thanks for sharing that with us, and for the and also for with all of those who are watching us. And also, like you mentioned that you bought these 40 gateways, but all of them are deployed right now, or how many gateways do you have deployed?
And Hiklen knows the exact number, but it's 46 or 47, right?
46.
Yes,
And how
46, 46.
and how about the coverage? What is the range that you are covering right now so far?
So we have completely covered Lisbon
Nice.
with these gateways. Now, I should mention that we're not the only one installing gateways in Lisbon, but we have already done significant mapping, and we've covered Lisbon, which is the capital of Portugal. So all of that that region is already covered, and where Colano is living, the Intucaminto, which is a bit north, coverage as well. And actually, Lisbon talks to the Intucaminto. So we have some of these hotspots talking at 107 kilometers. So that's quite good. We are quite
Nice.
happy with the result we've been able to achieve.
Well, that is a good range. Amazing. I think that is a record that you have on your on your list. Definitely. And like you have like you mentioned at the beginning that you were more too much related like with the geological and earth like um area, we can say. So you have like an extensive background on this, and we can say that your guidance regarding topographic issues for an efficient planning of the hotspot deployment across the region was like a key for all of you. So there's like any tool or any consideration to that you can share with us, like to help us to evaluate the best hotspot deployment spot.
Yeah, sure. Basically, landscape planning is key. Is absolutely vital. So depending on which landscape you want to install the hotspot, there's a different strategy for each one of those. So, for example, you can punch through buildings with LoRa, for example, but it's very difficult to do so with a mountain. So you need to know, you need to plan ahead of time in which region are you deploying these hotspots. For example, over here in Holland, now everything is flat, and it's a lot easier to get proper range. In Lisbon, it's a city, it's not flat, so you have to take into account two things: the building, so the attenuation of the signal, plus all of the topographic variability that you have there. So I can go into a bit of detail, but essentially, you have to map everything in the sense that you have intervisibility between different gateways. So you have to really rely on the math and the modeling, etc., instead of just having faith that it will work. So you need to do the RF mapping. You need to check the topographical profiles, see if there's intervisibility between different places, because even though you can talk to a different hotspot, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have complete coverage in that area. For example, if there's a valley, right, you can have shadow zones at the bottom of the valley because the signal doesn't reach there. So you need to be very careful, and you need to do a lot of planning and be absolutely sure that these hotspots can see each other and have the appropriate coverage. Well, we use a lot of open source tools. We use QGIS, and then we import digital elevation models, which are mostly open available. Every country has them, and also, for example, the military has them as well. And with those you can make heat maps and profiles. You can quickly realize if these gateways can talk to each other or not. And when it comes to very difficult places, which is the place where we're going now next month with our deployment, which is more north to Portugal, where you have more mountains, there you run into other types of challenges, right? So there's a lot of forests areas, and you don't always have access to the locations you need to. and of course you cannot just put a big tower. So you need to be very careful with planning to plan only on the mountain or the structural highs, for example. And in most of these things, and this is pointing a bit back towards geology, there is all of these structures, and there is kind of a wavelength to most topographical to most terrains in Portugal. There's kind of a pattern to it. So if you understand the pattern and you know, okay, most of these valleys have a certain strike, have a certain orientation, and you know what kind of patterns they have, you can carefully plan in your deployments as well. And that for us was very crucial. And yeah, so those type of things you have to take into account. Everyone can do it. It's not difficult, but you have to be careful, and you have to really plan it and go advanced. So what we do is we have a big list of locations, and then we do a multi-week filtering process. So we have locations, and then every time we go through a process, we basically filter out locations, and then towards the end, we end up with almost 1/10 of the amount of locations. But those are the locations that we know we can achieve the maximum amount of coverage with the least number of gateways, and that's in the end for the helium network. That's what you want.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Can I ask? So Lisbon is a very difficult city. It's known as the Seven Hills, so very difficult city for RF. How easy was it to find data like topographic data? Is this something that exists for the world, or is it more local data?
Yeah. So most of these profiles, actually, in big city, they have a higher resolution of these profiles. So if you go to your kind of, for example, civil engineering, for example, they have much higher detail maps of these big cities. So it was actually relatively simple to get all of these data. But you're absolutely right that Lisbon is not a flat city, right? You have a big Monsanto, so a big region in the middle, etc. You have a lot of challenges getting the correct place as well, because Lisbon is a very dense city. So you have very old buildings with thick stone walls, and you lose a lot of signal with those type of buildings. Yeah. So you also have to look at that, for example. And then, of course, you have a location, but then you have someone on the first floor or on the ground floor, and then you cannot do it. And then you need to check, okay, can you put it on the roof? And then you have an entire process of you can find the best location in which you should put the gateway, but then you have to find someone in that location. And that's, for example, Herculano has been a tremendous help with that as well, to making sure that if we find the location, we actually have people there. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, actually, that is one of the questions that I wanted to ask. Like, how are you dealing to find like the access to deploy this gateway? Like, how are you doing, or where are the
before we start the deployment itself, we analyze actually Mage will analyze everything on the map, and he tells me, so Herculano, we need these places to be filled with gateways. Please get me people from there to place that hotspot on that region. And thanks for my background in the army, I know a lot of people, and a friend talks to a friend, and eventually I do get the location that it's needed. So that's the way we are working. Now we are accepting contacts from the website, so people can contact us with their information, and we analyze and see if it's in a hole. We just say we think that location won't give coverage, so maybe you should talk to another company. There's a lot of companies that give the free hotspots and things like that. But mostly, if we see that that's a great location, we can mount everything, antennas, and have a good line of sight, let's go for it. And we don't have any type of agreement that makes the clients to stay with us, but we surely want them to keep our setups, because we need the coverage to be a long-term coverage, because we have our use cases. So we don't want the people to get mad and say, okay, this is not working. And because mostly people join this for the HNT that it gives, and not like us for the use cases that we want to deploy. So we prefer to keep people happy and don't give false expectations, and give a hotspot for a person that will put it in a hole and don't give coverage, and for that reason won't get revenue, so we can share that revenue to them. So we try to do that filtering that Meish was talking about, and make sure that everyone gets happy from this project, and help us building our long-term projects in the use cases properly.
Nice. Thank you. And what have been like the biggest challenges that you have faced when installing any of the outdoor hotspots? Like any story with hosts, the deployments you would like to share, or would you like to, I don't know, start differently in next time?
Yeah. So I think the actually one of the things, let me just say, one of the things we expected that was going to be very difficult is getting people to accept the HNT, for example. So we thought that it was going to be pretty challenging to get people to accept the tokens, and basically there was not a lot of issues there. So that was actually quite surprising. But I think the biggest issue we had, and we actually continue to have, is that as we search for locations, when we don't just say, okay, give us your address and we're going to install the gateway, right? We do all of the analysis, and we need to know a lot of information, like, for example, can we mount it on the roof? Do you have a chimney on which we can mount it, etc.? Installation details. But people are not very keen on giving that type of information if they don't get something straight away in return. So people are a bit lazy naturally to give that type of information. So our main issue has been with people, really, with getting the information to be able to do all of the planning, and then of course we have the natural issues with planning around gateway locations, etc. But the biggest issue has always been for the people themselves, because people, we have to understand as well is that most people don't know anything about this technology. And that educational part involved and getting people to actually commit to locations, to getting the hotspots, that has always been a challenge. But well, that's a challenge in general with blockchain. But well, these now, in the beginning, we were very concerned that we couldn't find enough locations. So we really tried to convince people, but we're at a point that if people are not receptive to it, we won't try to convince people. So we're only going after the best locations. We're not as careful anymore, and we see that as the word comes out, then suddenly a lot of people become interested. So I think that it was just the first phase of people not knowing what it is, but as soon as a friend talks to a friend talks to a friend, that natural network effect, and that's what we're seeing now, where instead you had to do a lot of work to get a few people, and now we have a list of almost 700 people waiting for gateways. So yeah, but I would say the personal aspect of getting information from people, how do you pass the cables through, etc. That's been the biggest challenge. Yeah.
Nice.
The cables issue is a big issue because we like we like to place the gateways on the roof, and then we have to get a way to put cable inside home, and people don't sometimes don't seem like that they know their own place, and we are just digging in the place when we could plan this before. So we should have the information. Okay, we will need this type of product for this type of place, because the cable will have to pass through window. So we need an Ethernet flex cable to connect from the outside to inside. And sometimes we don't have that info, and we think that that place will be some sort of setup, and then we have to change the whole scheme and come back again next day with the new product.
Yeah. We should definitely not and also viewers should definitely not underestimate how difficult it is sometimes to place these hotspots. So you know, from the helium as well, you hear a lot, oh, just put it in front of your window, right? But most places, having a gateway on your roof is makes such a big difference to have the entire 360 degree view. So, but then you get to a lot of practical issues. And yeah, beyond that, what I forgot, but I think is also important to mention is the logistics of it all, right? So installing, for example, 40, 50 gateways in 2 weeks, if you do it properly, takes a lot of planning. You need to have all of your organization in order. So what are the materials that you need, etc. And for us, it's only getting worse because now we have hundreds of these things which we're going to deploy. But that is definitely an issue that we've run into a lot of time. That you get to an installation and say, "Oh, I forgot this component," for example. It sounds silly, but it's definitely you're definitely going to run into that type of stuff. Of course, you can have professional installation crews, but I think from what I understand, most people in helium as well, they're interested in the technology and just they're learning as they go along. So yeah, it's quite vital you have all of your organization in order for these type of big deployments, at least.
Cool. Nice. And can you share us like a little bit more how are you like deploying it itself? Like, okay, are you powering like over Ethernet as far as I could understand, like power over the Ethernet? Like, what are the other protections that you are doing in these other gateways?
Yeah, so we're mostly focused over power over Ethernet, and so we're trying to we're balancing between the best type of installation and which is the most low cost. So we are right now we've made a commitment to really focus on the power over Ethernet and then just a nice outdoor enclosure with an outdoor antenna. And these type of installations are very simple, but they are the most effective. So yeah, so we usually do power over Ethernet for 48 volts, and then we have a PoE splitter which goes to the RAK hotspot, and then a 5.8 to 6.5 VBI antenna on top, and with a small antenna cable as well. So our antenna cable is like 1 meter. And with no connectors, etc., in between, just to really minimize the loss that you get from extra cable length or from extra connectors, and also points of failure. Right, the more things you have in between, the more points that can go wrong. And we also focus on really stabilizing everything, because especially in Lisbon, there is a lot of wind sometimes. So sometimes we were mounting, one of these hotspots on a 3 or 4 meter high pole, and then you look up and then you see that thing bouncing in the wind everywhere. And then we so now we have all the systems with steel cables to mount the thing properly and things like that. But yeah, you really have to have to be careful to, and also that's best, right? The best is that these gateways last for 10 years or something like that, hopefully. And that, yeah, you have to install it properly, and also to also protect from life as well, because these gateways are mounted high of buildings. If they fall off, Portugal has a lot of these old antennas which are mostly almost falling down because people have switched to cable, etc. So we have to be very careful with the human aspect as well, that everything is securely tightened so that nothing can happen. And it's an important thing, but it's sometimes underestimated. So it's an important thing to also take into consideration if you mount these antennas high, also on top of balconies, right? That you have to ensure some kind of protective mechanism, that if the antenna falls, that is fastened with a zip tie or something extra to really make sure that it's safe. So there are no really big standards, right? Everyone is just deploying these gateways for security, but it's important that all of these installations are done securely.
Yeah, indeed. I see some people using like duct tape, just duct taping the antennas to the balconies.
Yeah. We've seen some crazy things as well. Yeah, it's definitely not good. No. Then in that case, it's better to leave. Sorry.
But
you also chose the wrong time. You also chose the worst time. Now it's the winter in Portugal to install this network, right? So hopefully in the summer it will be much nicer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then in the summer you have the heat as well. So especially here in Southern Europe, it's the weather is more extreme compared to Northern Europe, and in the US you have the same time structure. Of course, so in Portugal it's very key to be really resistant against the weather patterns and the natural conditions. So you have right in Lisbon, you know, as well, Jose, in Lisbon you have 40, 45 degrees heat, and then in the winter you have lots of rain, thunder, and things like that. So you really need to make sure your equipment is protected against those type of conditions. Yeah.
Indeed.
Nice.
Yeah.
And now that also, like you mentioned, use cases, can you share a little bit more about the use cases that you are planning to deploy?
Sure. Herculano, do you want to talk about the tracking one first?
Okay. So here in Entroncamento, once there is full coverage already, one day I ordered food from a startup, and they took like half an hour more to come deliver, and I was like, so I don't know where the food is, if it's gonna come, if it's not gonna come. So let me call them and let me check where the delivery guy is. And I called them, and okay, I don't know where the where the delivery guy is. The startup that talked to me. Yeah, and then he came like 10 minutes later after my call, and I said to him, look, I can give you a sensor, so your back office people will know where you are at that moment. So this is I offer this to you. I will build a web app, so every delivery guy will have a sensor, and the back office will look at the lifetime. I mean, we are sending a beacon each 20 seconds, I think. And this way, everyone in your back office will know where delivery guy number 1 is, delivery guy number 2 is. We will put the icons of the restaurants, so you know if the delivery guy is at the restaurant, if it's at the address that will deliver the food. And we started to think, okay, this is quite a good use case for startups that won't have the money to invest on a app, that will need 4G to connect the software that they are running, like Uber Eats and Glovo and things like that. And we can deliver a very cheap option, so they can use our technology once entroncamento has full coverage. Okay, entroncamento, Vila Nova da Barquinha, and other regions that with the hotspots that we deployed here in entroncamento, all of these region has a LoRaWAN network deployed, the Helium network. So we started with that use case, and it's going very well. So we are finishing right now the front end application with our software engineers, but we mostly now we are using Cargo app. We send them the Cargo app link. We told them, okay, look for this name, and you will see on lifetime that the delivery guys are there, and there.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was one quite interesting one, and of course, I mean, a lot of places in Portugal. So you might ask, okay, but why don't you just use takeaway or DoorDash or whatever? But the thing is that in a lot of places outside of the cities, you don't really have that. And yeah, as economists, to build all of these apps and to get the trackers. And with Helium, it's just much less expensive, and it's just very easy to use. I mean, most of the integrations are there. There are tons of integration on the console already existent, so it's very easy to leverage all of that to get started. But that's one example, and then another very important example, which we were talking with Raka as well about, is the forest fire detection. So things are getting drier over in Portugal. So every year there are more forest fires, like in California as well. So the climate is very similar between the two places, and it's always been a very big problem in Portugal, because cleaning all the forest is just impossible. It's too much work. So there needs to be some kind of way to detect these fires early. Because the biggest problem is if a fire takes too long to be detected, it's too big, and then you cannot stop it anymore. There have been some attempts in the past, and there are currently researchers, etc., trying to deploy these sensors. But we looked around and we said, hey, I mean, we're gonna have the Helium coverage in April in our hometown, where there's a lot of pine trees, etc. So why not do a pilot with the fire teams to actually try to detect these forest fires? And we got a lot of positive interest from them as well. So where we're currently working with RAK as well to try if we can make with the WizBlock, try if you can make some prototypes for actually detecting these fires with different gas sensors, with volatile organic compounds, etc. And if we have coverage and it goes well, there's a lot of interest from municipalities, because they already spend a lot of money each year on just getting some type of fire prevention in place. But these type of solution, there is a lot of interest in Portugal, especially for these type of solutions. So that's one. And then the other one we are working on as well is for the agricultural sector. So of course, IoT is very popular with the agricultural sector, and Portugal is no exception to that. Portugal has always had a lot of agriculture, and is especially known for the vineyards, of course. But there is a lot of interest. So a lot of farmers have micro farms, right? It's not the very big farms that you have in the US, for example, with hundreds of acres, etc. And these micro farmers are usually older generation. So, working with this type of IoT, it's a bit more difficult for them. But especially the lowering in cost from IoT and these sensors and the network traffic. So we're working with the cooperatives to also do pilots and apply a multitude of sensors for pest and crop monitoring, etc. And yeah, so we've actually had a call before this one with them, and they're eager to get started and to get these sensors.
Super.
In the end, bring more value, increase crop yields, etc. So they are very interested. But the main problem is that most of these, and this is very important why helium is so fundamental for all of this, is that most of these solutions are those that are ready, like companies sell, they're too expensive, and there is no coverage. And then you get a lot of companies that come to these farmers and they say, hey, for $15,000 we can install this network. And the power of helium is that we're able to basically create the network already at no cost. And then if they have their own gateway as well, they can use the earnings from their gateway to pay for their sensors and to actually buy sensors as well. So that's a very interesting thing. What we're doing now is that these actual farmers are actually buying sensors with these gateways as well. And in the end, that is the best thing you have, because we've heard of stories of kind of big companies, big Sonai and other big companies in Portugal coming to these municipalities and saying, hey, we want to deploy the smart city technology, but it's going to cost 6 million and then 125,000 per year, 20 years, just to have the network there. And that is just not viable. And with helium, you have none of those issues, because you will have the network and the cost of these sensors is dropping every year. So it's the perfect timing and perfect synergy for these type of use cases in Portugal and of course other places around the world as well, for deploying these smart solutions for these small farmers. And then the cooperatives, for example, will be able to use the data to make or to make models and things like that, so that if there has to be a harvest, for example, they get a text message, say, hey, now is the time to, for example, harvest your crops, etc. And that's things that they now do manually. So they go into the field, they do empirical observations, and then they say verbally, okay, now it's time. But being able to do all of this automatically is really helpful for them.
And actually, like, how is the Portugal government dealing with the cryptocurrency stuff? Yeah.
So Portugal has a bit of the attitude, what they can't see doesn't exist. So they have no legislation for crypto at this time. There's no taxes and things like that. There of course will be, but yeah, I mean, from Herculano can talk better about this as well. But it seems they're quite open for now, at least, for all of this technology. Yeah, there's virtually no oversight at this time for anything crypto related. I mean, if you're a company, you need to get authority from a national bank, which they won't give you. But yeah, in our case, since we've started as a small project, we currently don't have any of that overhead and things like that. And we specifically decided in Portugal as well to stay a team without being a fully crypto company, basically. Then you get into legislation, which is like legislation which is made for other types of company, which is just pull over to crypto as well, but which isn't really effective.
Be complicated, yeah.
Yeah.
And can I ask, what about the farmers? So do you just go to them and say, oh, you get this crypto, and the farmer goes, oh yeah, I've got this Bitcoin wallet right here. I do crypto all day. I day trade my sheep. Or it's not like that, is
yeah.
it?
No, exactly. And but that's the same thing we do with the cooperatives. So basically, what we do is we say, hey, if you have and we are going to install some of these gateways, some of these hotspots on some of their places as well. And basically, what we just do is we give them the same share as everyone else gets, but then we make sure that their share comes in the form of data credits and sensors. So basically, we buy the sensors and we basically give them the sensors and all of the data credits that they need, so they don't touch the money aspect, because that's exactly it's very good that you said that as well, because that's the main problem. Like if you talk with these public organs and public institutions, and you start getting crypto in the mix, things become complicated. So not talking about that stuff and just saying, here you have the data credits, you have your Helium console, you can onboard your sensors, and here you have your sensors for this month. They are more than happy doing it that way. So if it works, right?
Yeah,
we're just going to continue with that.
So you recommend to anyone who is doing like something similar like you is just to avoid the crypto topic during the conversation when you want to offer the solution to a client itself.
Yeah, because in the end of the day, like I mean, crypto, especially with the hotspots, where everyone is very focused around making money, right? So everyone really quickly talks about, oh, it makes money and this and this and that, but for farmers, for example, of course, they're also interested in money, but they don't have the background to understand about crypto. So it's much easier to say, okay, I'm going to offer value in a different way, in sensors and in data credits, which is still going to give them a lot of, I mean, just increasing a yield by 15-20% for some of these farmers is thousands of dollars per year. So we basically give them value in a different way. And of course, there are always those that are interested, and they have a lot of push in Portugal to get younger farmers involved, right? To have, because a lot of younger people are moving towards the cities, and there's no one staying in the center of the country, and all the farmlands are being abandoned, which is a waste because it's a big economical interest for the country as well. So in that type, it will slowly change, but it's still very it's still very more the primitive version of agricultural. Yeah.
Got it. I think like we can keep this conversation for hours and hours and hours.
For sure.
And we have like a couple of questions as well. But before jumping to the Q&A session, I would like to see if you can share a little bit more about the website and the deployment that you have been done so far quickly. It will be nice so everyone can see over here. And then we can jump directly through the Q&A session. We have a few questions right here.
Sure.
So I will let me add to the screen. Yeah, here we have it.
All right. So this is our website. There's a nice video in the background of Lisbon. I mean, I'll just run through it, but this is just the standard information with some question and answer. It's a nice picture of the river.
Nice.
Here are some pictures of what we've done so far. That's maybe the most interesting for people that are wanting to deploy hotspots. So in this case, we just have a mount for the chimney. We have an outdoor enclosure, and then we have the RAK hotspots inside with also a RAK 5.I DBI antenna. And this is the most. This is the type of system which we're mostly focused about. This one wasn't finished yet, but it's all right. So it's all these type of installation. These were more DIY installations we had in the beginning, but now these are installation where you cannot go on top of a roof, for example. And then it's just your usual type of installation. So if you look here, this is the type of thing we're really focused on, is that you have a very nice view where you can see mostly, this is looking down at the city of Lisbon. So these are the type of installation we're focused on. There were another one on the balcony with a nice case and the RAK antenna as well. See, and then these ones on top. So everything is contained. With the antenna cables, PoEs, etc. That's basically it. So I mean, these installations. I mean, if you go into the Helium community, there are tons and tons of people. It really, as I said, we are learning as we go along. But there are lots of people in the Helium community which really have this type of things as a job, and they know how everything has to be done properly. So anyone that's interested in deploying gateways, please go into the Helium community and just ask in the different channels, and there are lots of people in there which were able to help you out.
So you've got Lisbon and then Trocamento. What's kind of the next? Can you tell us where you're going next?
Yeah. So the next part which we're targeting is our home part, which is Viseu. It's the center of it's the heart of the country, and we're going to target the entire region of Viseu. So this is it is a much bigger area than Lisbon, and we plan to have complete coverage of Viseu by the end of April. So we're going to deploy about, now it's 150 gateways for Viseu, but this is a very mountain type region with 2-kilometer high mountains on both ends. So that's our focus, and that's very important for us because the pilots with the forest fires and the agricultural pilots as well are in that region, and then we basically plan to jump from one of these regions to another. So to get national coverage, we really keep on the boundaries of the region, of the municipality, and then we just jump from one to the other. Then through time, we hopefully complete coverage of Portugal. Of course, there are a lot of other people deploying hotspots in Portugal as well, so that's a big help, right? So we're definitely not alone in deploying these gateways. So we'll just jump from one to the other place. And the biggest challenge in Portugal is the north, because it has a lot more mountains, and in the south it's very flat. So with a few gateways, the
weather is nicer as well, so it's much easier.
That's definitely true. yeah, exactly.
I offer myself to deploy in the Algarve.
In the Algarve.
Let's do it. Awesome. Nice. So yeah, I think that we can jump to a Q&A session. There are some of the questions that we already discussed during the session, but maybe they haven't on the session during that time. So let's just make a quick fresh. This is just what did you do for plant fire protection? This is next with another one. Can you do wine farmers as well? I think it's yes. And also, is the government also interested? It's like 3 questions together.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, Arclano, did you want to speak?
I can speak about the part of the government to be interested. I think the biggest challenge right now, but we already talked to Marcelino, is the data protection thing, because we can't deploy this network and make governance. Some like a municipality to use our network right now, because this data is being sent to Williams servers, and that's outside of European Union. So we have to use the router solution, but we still aren't faced that way, because we are having so much interest of private institutions like farmers and cooperatives, and even the fire protection system will be handled with an university that is already in a project that is studying. So we kind of join them on this project. So we are giving them the network so they can use their own sensors to do their study. I think we have a pilot in wine farmers. So we expect to have a meeting with the agricultural engineers next week, I think, so they can give us their technical requirements, so we know that we should build a sensor that gathers information about humidity, the temperature, all sort of that information. And yes, I think that's Mage will talk more detailed about the fire protection. Monsi is the one that is really into that part of the project. So, but yes, the government part is still very stuck because of the data protection issues that we are facing. Because it's the first thing. It's the first thing that that is asked to us is where is this data being sent to? Okay, we could use this on parking systems, for example, or to the lightning of a municipality. Okay, but that's public information that will be sent to out of European Union. So okay, then we will have to slow down and maybe go to alternatives much expensive, because it's smart cities, it's the future, and no one wants to get behind. But we are trying to give that solution the cheaper way possible, but we are really facing that issue.
Yeah. But it has a solution. It's the router thing, so it can be solved.
Yeah.
Surely.
Here we have another one. You mentioned Thunder. That was when we were talking about the gateways deployment. So are you installing grounding wire?
Yes, for sure. I mean, we have to, right? It's legally obliged to ground all of your antennas, and we need to ground not only the mast but also the PoE cable. So of course, the thing with grounding as well is that you basically ground for a nearby lightning strike, but if you get a direct hit, then you can ground, but it's just going to fry. Mostly it's going to destroy everything. So the current's just going to jump from one to the other place. But we try to ground the mast and also the PoE. And in the mast, if we're not able to ground from inside, because especially old homes, I mean, they need to have grounding, but sometimes it's difficult to get there. So in some places we just put as the standard big 1.5 meter copper pin inside of the ground. Ideally, you don't have multiple of these pins in your house, right? It's supposed to have one, but if it's not possible, then that's what we do. And in case it's not possible to do either of those, then we usually retreat to either a balcony or a window. And if people really want it and have no solution for grounding, then we clearly explain that it's at their own risk. Ideally, grounding everything is necessary. Yes. Yeah.
Completely. We have other one over here. I would say yes, but those location sensors are used with GPS and LoRa. Could be possible once there are enough gateways achieve a triangulation using LoRa?
I think that this is a tricky question. I don't really know how the system works, but I know mostly the GSM system can triangulate our location and get most accurate location. But there is a trick in here, because here in entroncamento, I know that every hotspot is in the right placement with the correct asserted location. But unfortunately, we still find some gamers here in the Helium network that place the hotspot right here, but the asserted location is like 1 kilometer away. So I don't think that the triangulation would work right now with this type of technology, but I think that maybe José Marcelino will be able to explain this better. I don't know.
Yeah, for triangulation, so the way networks work, the cellular networks, they have very precise timekeeping. So they use GPS timekeeping on each gateway. And it's not even a standard GPS. It's kind of a timing GPS. It's very high accuracy. So that's how you can do triangulation.
Oh,
and even then,
awesome.
you still... So it could be done, but the gateways will be very expensive. More than the current ones, and like you say, it can be gamed, so there probably will need to being a different class of gateways. And this kind of has been approached in some hips, so we might see it, but it's not out there yet.
Yeah, I will have another one. How many hotspots has been installed? We were mentioned 46, right? 47.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And yeah, what is the most challenging he faced in the city installation?
Getting the authorizations to place this stuff on the roof, because there is it's people live in apartments, so they have to request to the landlord or someone that is dealing with the all sort of apartment stuff, and sometimes they do say, oh, okay, we can place that on the roof, but then we don't have the proper authorization. Then they ask to pass the cable through the walls, and that's not the way it should be. There are holes on the roof that we can make them pass through our apartments. Here in my home, I live on the third floor, but I have dot spot on the top of the building, and with the correct authorizations, I pass all the cables through the pipes, and it connects directly to my router. But the hosts don't have this type of preoccupation when they reach us. Okay, we want an hotspot only, and for that specific situation, there are other alternatives. We try to make people get something from this, and the best way to get something from this is to have the best setup and give the most max coverage possible. And sometimes people don't understand that and make our life a little bit difficult. At least it's my I think that's my opinion related to the biggest challenge in deploying, mostly in Lisbon. Here in Entroncamento, it's all houses, so it's easier to place all that on the top.
Perfect. Another one we have over here. Did you set up hotspots on the location or remotely or before you went to the new location? It's kind of tricky, but yeah.
Okay, we do.
I think it's the hotspot location itself, like for the deployment. Yeah.
Yeah, we do know where we are going to deploy that specific hotspot. So to save time, mostly we try to keep our hotspots synchronized on our network. We do the assert location right half an hour before we leave to the apartment or to the house that we are deploying the hotspot. So when we get there, we have the coordinates, so we know that it's that place that we are going to deploy the hotspot. So it's easier to be here on our own homes doing that stuff with much carefully, and think about what you are doing instead of being on the roof with rain or something, wind, and maybe we can mess up.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I think we can just jump to the last question. Also, crypto technology. Thanks for your suggestion about one collaboration. I can't reply on the comment section because for some reason my Bluetooth on the keyboard is not working, so I can write to you over the chat. So just to inform you that I read your message. And this is a question for RAK. So Jose, can you help us with this? Like, what is the main difference between using Raspberry Pi 3 and Raspberry Pi 4 in the Helium hotspot?
They're almost the same for practical purposes. The 4 is much faster at processing general data, the blockchain data, but it doesn't really need to be. So it's it can be either the Pi 3 or the Pi 4. We offer the Pi 4 because we have to keep the product consistent. So we have to supply thousands of the same product. So if we can't change the boards easily, We are going to do a 4 gigabyte version now, just because that's what it's available now. We are facing some shortages, as people know. It's been very difficult to deliver gateways at this time, with all the challenges going on. Even boats now stuck in the canal. So it's getting a bit crazy. I don't know how this will end, but we're just changing the Raspberry Pi, but we're keeping the 4. I think the 4 it runs cooler, it's a bit faster. The concentrate big change, so between the 0.1 to 0.2 is a big change, so the 0.2 is much better, much cooler, better signal, so it does a lot more, and that's what we use as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
next question, isn't it? Like, what's the difference between the I have already addressed it.
Security. So yeah, perfect. I think that's whole. Like, we have a very active chat, people chatting right there. Nice to see that. And yeah, I think like for to conclude with this session, any message, Herculano or me, that you would like to share with our community of members, like, I don't know, any message that you would like to share?
Well, I would say keep going. I think it's been fascinating how fast the Helium network is growing. I think we still have quite a long way to go to reach complete coverage in most areas. So yeah, keep going. Take it easy, because it can be a lot of very stressful to install these things and to learn everything. So take it one step at a time, and yeah, keep going, growing.
Take it easy and deploy 50 gateways in 2 weeks. Go ahead.
Keep it easy and move fast.
Exactly.
Nice. Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. Herculano, something that you would like to add, or no?
Yeah, let's build the people's network. We are excited to see the Portuguese channel on Discord of Helium that is quite active. Many people are joining and wanting to learn and wanting to deploy the sensors. And for Sharespot, that's great. We don't have that idea that okay, only us can deploy this. No, it's great because we have so much use cases for this network, so we need to reach the most regions possible. And once we are from Portugal, we want Portugal fully covered, so we can make deals with everything that we talked today. So keep going, do the best setups possible, so everyone can be getting something out of this. No, don't put the RAKSpots on a hold that you can give it as us, that we make the deal for you. And yeah, that's it. Keep going, and thanks to RAK to be for this meeting, for this interview, and for helping us with some technical questions that sometimes we have, and especially José Marcelino is always available to help us and give some insights how this all works and how can we achieve some ideas that we actually have.
Amazing. Like,
Yeah,
you are doing like an amazing job, and you are not just like spreading the network across Portugal. You are like spreading the network, expanding it, and also looking for use cases and to start deploying application that is like the main goal of all these things. So it's super important. And guys, first, like, before conclude, congratulations for the amazing job that you have been doing so far. That is amazing. For you as well, keep going. And thank you so much for sharing us all the experiences that you have been experienced with Sharespot, and also with the community, with the healing community. I can openly say that you are like a role model for many people out there. Yeah, like for people that want to also deploy this kind of network on their city. As you mentioned, one of your comments that you say, like, in the future, everyone wants their city to be smarter. like what is the reason for us. So that word, like, it's important thing
No,
to.
no one wants to get behind. So
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That is. So yeah, thanks also for all of those who connect to the session, all of those who have been super active during the chat. That's all for today's session. If someone is watching this video later, feel free to leave your comments or your question on the comment section, and we'll be happy to address them. And yeah, we hope to see you next week. And my best wishes to all of you guys. Happy hacking, folks. Bye bye.
You too. It was a pleasure. See you.
Thank you.
See you.